All right, we are back and we are talking again about the impact of stress on our relationships. This is the Communication Toolbox, episode 5.1. Last episode or conversation, we talked about the two patterns of symmetrical and complementary relationships. I'm going to break down that even further and just go over 4 categories of what conflict can look like. There's many schools of thought. This is a real simple overview by Olson and Steffens from their book, The Couple Survival Workbook. So number 1, pursuer distancer. In a relationship dynamic like this, there's one person who is more vocal and they're going to fire off more questions and they're going to seek the other person more, usually verbally. And because the other person is trying to gain some balance, because that's what we do, the other person creates more distance, physically, emotionally, or otherwise. Second category would be the over-under functioning relational pattern. In this pattern, there's one person who is more expressive or vocal, again, usually, about how they see things functioning, and their disapproval or disbelief that the under-functioning person can meet their standards. The over-functioning person usually comes across as having very high standards and high expectations, even insurmountable. And when people do not meet person's expectations, the over-functioner, they will express dissatisfaction and disapproving. Never mind, I should have done it myself. I do all the work around here anyhow. I would let you do it, but you probably won't do it, right? Those are type things that the over-functioner will do. And the under-functioner usually just peters out. You know, it's exhausting to hear you're getting it wrong all the time. The third one would be the dominant submissive relationship pattern. So this is interesting because on the surface, when we see dominant submissive, the dominant person is usually louder, more vocal. They're going to be telling us how it is. And the submissive person seems like they're just kind of going with it, maybe even shrinking back a bit or following guidelines. But what we know about the submissive person is that they're going to sidestep the dominant. If there's something the submissive wants, they're finding a way to get that need met. And that might mean keeping secrets, that might mean going around the dominant or discluding the dominant in conversations, say with the children or with purchases. So the submissive gains their power in other ways. You're probably starting to notice that all of these categories fit together and they're not exactly separate. And each one of us, I'm jumping ahead of myself here, but each one of us will have a combination of different parts of all of these categories. So the final one is this fight-flight pattern. So the flight person tries to keep things polite and calm and to avoid conflict at all costs. So they're like the flight person really sees the relationship in terms of peace. However, the fight person is ready and waiting to argue about almost anything at almost any time, which sounds strange, but the fight person is really seeing the relationship in longing for certainty that we're in this together. And so they'll become vocal and they're really trying to ease their own stress by maintaining a hold on the other person. Whereas the flight person is trying to maintain their own distress by keeping the peace, and oftentimes that just looks like creating some space. All right, so this is getting interesting. And what goes along with these categories is just a few questions we can ask ourselves. So much like some of the other tools that we've discussed where we can slow down and do some self-awareness, this is another thing. And these are the questions. So the relationship patterns I just discussed are one of the categories. So what do I do? So what happened? Something happened, it caused me distress. What I do? And what is going on for me inside is the next question. What are my friends, partner, boss, family member, colleagues, what are they doing? And what might be going on for them on the inside? What relationship pattern am I noticing showing up here? So that's the pursuer distancer, over under functioning, dominant submissive, fight flight pattern. And then what is a more useful solution that I could work towards here. So an example, so what I do, this is an example. This guy at work always wants to argue. It doesn't matter what I say or do, I am wrong. I try to ignore him and diffuse the situation, but he just keeps going. What is going on for me inside? I feel like punching the guy out. I'm angry and annoyed. I wish I could avoid him altogether. I don't want to deal with this. This is just a made up example, okay? And there's no men in the office with me right now because of social distancing. So this is totally pretend. What my friend's partner, boss, family member does. The guy always tries to prove he is right. He won't stop talking until everyone else gives in. If it looks like things won't go his way, he starts swearing and belittling people. What might be going on for them on the inside? For some reason, it seems like he has a hard time being wrong. Maybe he feels threatened. Maybe he feels like he needs approval or power. Maybe deep down he is insecure. Relationship pattern? Maybe this is fight, flight. Maybe this is dominant, submissive. There's all these different tones that we start to see. But what's important is like, what category am I putting myself in? Because that's what I really want to know, because that's what I'm going to work on. Solution. Well, I could try and talk to the guy. I could try to let him know how he comes across. I could ask to be moved to a different department. I could let my boss know and ask him to deal with this guy. So solution is just trying to create some forward thinking and assessing what could I do so that I then can assess whether I'm willing or capable to do that. Okay, you guys. Hopefully everything is going okay. This is a hot topic, and be cautious when you talk to your partner about these categories. It could become uncomfortable. It could also cause some conflict. Okay, you guys, so we'll see you on the next part of this communication toolbox. Bye.